So the irony is that the topic is selflessness, and I was told to talk about myself. So I'm not going to do that. I'm fortunate to have the best additional duty in the United States Air Force. As you heard, I get to coach our Wounded Warriors shooting team. But my story is our story. And it's a story about our American airmen. Now, the topic is selflessness, but when I hear that word, other words come to mind, such as sacrifice. And no one has sacrificed more than our wounded warriors. From the caregivers to the coaches and staff, to the family members and to the athletes themselves, they truly have sacrificed and epitomized the term selflessness. Well, all branches of service have a wounded warrior team, and they use that sacrifice as the initial steps to their recovery. And what I want to share with you today are some examples of our warriors' sacrifices and selflessness. I want to give you a brief glimpse of the journey that they go through and some of the obstacles in their path. And I hope that through their eyes, you'll have a new understanding for the term selflessness. So how does one join the Air Force Wounded Warrior Team? Well, any Air Force member that is sick, injured, ill can apply to be part of the Wounded Warrior program. A lot are active duty, some are retired, some are combat injured, and some are cancer survivors, some have PTSD. But overall, this program will provide the outreach that they need, advice, and as well as a lot of other activities that help them along the road to recovery. In addition, we intentionally place these activities all over the United States. And that helps accomplish one of our missions, which is to remind our Air Force about our brothers and sisters in arms who have provided that selfless sacrifice. So one of the many activities, our entry point into the team, is what we call our introductory adaptive sports camp. At these camps, the athletes are exposed to a lot of events, many of which they've never done before. Everything from track and field to seated volleyball, wheelchair basketball, archery, swimming, cycling, and of course, my favorite, shooting. But once an athlete's seen all these different events, they can pick 2 or 3 that they really enjoy. And they can train hard and try out at what we call the Air Force Trials. And we hold those each spring at Nellis Air Force Base. If selected, the team member will get equipment for their sport, and they'll be able to have several opportunities to train with us before the Warrior Games. This year it's being hosted by the United States Marine Corps, and it'll be held at Quantico, Virginia. While at the games, which is very unique, they get to meet warriors not only from the other services, from the Army, Navy, Marine Corps. We also have a Special Operations Command team. And they get to compete with an international team from all over the world. We've had Australians, New Zealand, we'll provide a team as well as Great Britain. So this process to join the team seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, not really, because while the athletic piece is somewhat structured and simple, the athletes are struggling with their injuries, their illnesses. They're also trying to define their new normal. So let me describe to you what these athletes go through on their road to recovery. Please bear with me, as this is a very difficult and personal topic as I describe this, but I think it's an important story to share. At first are the obvious injuries or illnesses, and you only hope that they get diagnosed properly and they get treated. But at the same time, mental struggles start to take shape. Trying to do daily activities is difficult. Trying to integrate with your family when things are different is extremely challenging. Often it starts out with anxiety due to the stressful event that they encountered. And as anyone's been through a stressful event, you'll find these symptoms to be no different. At first, the anxiety is often ignored out of pride, but eventually it gets worse. It'll manifest itself from a mental symptom to a physical symptom. There's the sweaty palms, weak legs, leg spasms, chills, sweats, the difficulty getting a good breath. And as that anxiety worsens, panic sets in, phobias start to come to the surface, and fears that you've never had before become larger than life. You're unable to leave the house by yourself. You're afraid to fly. And even the simplest tasks, from walking to driving a car, are impossible. You truly become immobilized. But at the same time, this is affecting you. It's crushing the support network around you. At first, your family and friends are very supportive. They do everything for you. They let you sleep it off, take care of everything, you don't have to worry about a thing. However, this is probably the worst possible treatment. Our warriors, they need activity, structure. They need that discipline that gets them through recovery. Those skills are much more beneficial. Well, it gets worse. Eventually you struggle to reintegrate with your family because things are different, because you are different. In turn, a wedge will grow between you and everything you know, and that'll begin to widen. Depression will eventually set in, and some will consider suicide. Our veterans commit suicide at a rate twice that of the average American. Suicide rate for our veterans, 22 per day. Per day. So while you are sitting here today, 2 to 3 of our nation's heroes will kill themselves. And this is a very difficult topic for me because this morning I was notified that one of our athletes took their life. Tough timing to talk about a tough topic. So how do we break the chain? How does the Air Force Wounded Warrior Team help this situation? Well, there's a pretty simple equation that we use. We combine a strong peer group with physical exhaustion. And through this, we give them 2 vital tools that are essential to their recovery. We give them their confidence and independence, as well as a healthy addiction. And the best way to get their confidence back is to get them out of their comfort zone. So we often ask the athletes to travel by themselves to these camps. It's not easy. They get to deal with the challenges of flying with an injury, security lines, hotels, panic attacks, fear of flying, falling out of your wheelchair when no one's there to pick you up. While difficult, this is essential to their recovery process. But once they get to their hotel, they start to meet other athletes. They get roomed with other athletes. And eventually they see themselves as no different than anyone else. They start to become a little more normal to them. But now we need to fill their mind and their thoughts with good thoughts. And this is where that healthy addiction comes in. During any stressful event in recovery, these warriors' minds are active. They're moving rapidly. And if you don't provide positive thoughts to fill your mind, other thoughts will start to creep in. And our goal is to get them hooked on a sport, because most military members are very driven, they're very competitive. And as we revitalize this competitive feeling, it starts to become contagious. They start to work towards their recovery, because they want to win in their sport, and this winning attitude provides a reason for them to get up each and every day. And in turn, it gives their minds and souls something healthy to think about, that healthy addiction versus a destructive one. Well, many athletes have undergone this transition, but now I want to share a story with you about one athlete in particular, just to give you an example of what they went through. About 1 year ago, in a warehouse on the outskirts of Las Vegas at Nellis Air Force Base, we had converted a warehouse into a makeshift shooting range. In wheeled one of our warriors in his wheelchair, and he was full of vinegar. I'll tell you what. He came in on fire. Why am I here? I didn't sign up for shooting. I don't even know why I'm here. He was not having any of it. But we were able to get him down and start shooting. And we started teaching him the fundamentals, the sight alignment, the trigger squeeze, the breathing. He started to calm down. And after his first session, he was hooked. Hence the healthy addiction, right? We have a plan. He loved the sport, the instant feedback, the competition, but most of all, that concentration. He was able to focus on his shot process and eliminate all the other challenges that he's been dealing with. In fact, he told me that's the calmest he's felt in a long time. Now, it doesn't hurt that we keep them very busy and very tired for 12 to 24 hours a day, but that also enables them to get the best sleep that they've gotten in a long time, which is extremely important for the body and the mind to heal. But back to our athlete. During the first phase of recovery, I also noticed a very difficult relationship between him and his wife. And his wife is a very patient person. But his bitterness towards the military, his anger, his frustration really took its toll on his wife. However, as he started getting addicted to shooting, that started to fade away. He started to reintegrate with his family. And in fact, they're expecting their third child, which is great to see. And after his camp, he went home, and we want to keep the momentum going. So we linked him up with a shooting team in the local area, and he started training at every opportunity. In fact, in only 1 year, this warrior has accomplished so much, not just in the shooting world, but in his personal life. He was given a grant to purchase the best shooting equipment you could buy. He won a medal at the Warrior Games. He was also selected on multiple occasions to fly across the country to train with the United States Paralympic team after only 1 year. But most of all, and most important to me, is he regained his independence and was able to reintegrate with his family. He now travels to every camp by himself. He loves to mentor the other athletes, which to me is one of the true signs of recovery. And to him, these athletes have become his team. This story is just one of many. And I truly believe the Wounded Warrior team has saved the lives of many of our nation's heroes. As these warriors have undergone some amazing transformations, I am proud to be their wingman. We are all their wingmen. I have seen and I have personally lived this recovery process and the struggles that come with it. And believe me when I tell you, it takes courage, it takes time, and it takes others. So now I want to show you a brief video about some of these athletes that have accomplished many things. This video is very moving. So feel free to be inspired. Feel free to cheer. You might cry. But hopefully by the end you laugh.
Beyond to me is going outside the boundaries, going further than the realm of possibility. For me, I need to go beyond this injury. Not just accepting the road that we've been given, but going beyond that road. Taking that road and riding it as far as we can and reaching as many people as we can to show them that everything is going to be okay.
At the beginning, you always hear, just take that step, one more step. And for a long time for me, it was, how do you want me to take another step when I only have 1 foot? And I had to look deep within myself to realize that I could take that next step, that it was going to take a lot of hard work for me to do it. Being able to push past that resistance, running down those paths, those roads, those trails, we adapt to our environment, to our situations. We move forward because that's who we are.
It definitely isn't reaching that accepted level. And it isn't going past the limits or the goals that other people set for you. I think it's going past the goals that I set for myself. One of the guys one day was saying, if a magical fairy showed up and said, I can take it all back, I can take you back to when you got injured or when you got sick, and I can restart your life right there, make it so that that never happened, what would you do? Would you accept the offer? Hell no, I'd punch that fairy in the face.
I challenge each and every one of you to never forget our wounded warriors and the selfless sacrifices they have made. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Todd Benson. These American Airmen are my heroes, and I will never leave an airman behind. Thank you.